and welcome, and today I would like to show you Memoir 44. This game tends to cause some controversies among wargamers. Some say this is too easy to be a true wargame, some say it is too random to be true wargame, but when it comes to me, I believe this is one of the best introductory wargames. Let's make things clear. Look at your wargames collection and think how many of these games you can show to someone who is not a wargamer and you can explain the rules in about 10 or 15 minutes. How many? Probably zero. Maybe one if you are lucky. While Memoir works in this way. It is one of my favorite games when it comes to showing wargames to someone who had no contact with this hobby before. I have a couple of friends who like board games, but they are not very fond of war games. They don't like the time, the length of the gameplay, the number of counters, the number of rules, and so on and so on. But when I take Memoir 44 at our meetings, there is always someone who wants to play this game. And what might be interesting, these are both guys and girls. I know even some girls who likes this game a lot. Well, even my little sister, who is very much in the board games, but she prefers economic games more. She even purchased her own copy of Memoir 44 because she likes this game so much. So I think I made things clear. This is a good game. This is not a complicated game. This is not some historically accurate game, but this game offers you much fun, and if you get more modules for this game, since this game has a lot of modules, you can make this game even quite deep and even more interesting. But as for now, I'm going to stick with only a basic game without any of other modules that I have. I have some, like Eastern Front, Terrain Pack, or Equipment Pack, but I'm not going to talk much about them now. I'm going to stick with basic core game only, and maybe later, maybe someday I might record some videos about these modules as well. But for now, my idea is to show you how this game works. I am pretty certain that most of you already heard about this game, and probably many of you played this game or saw this game playing. This is a very popular game. It was released in the half of the previous decade, and it started the whole thing about Commands and Colors games, I believe, because it was I believe it was first of these games, and then we have much more like Commands and Color Ancients, Commands and Colors Napoleonics, Battle Lore, Battles of Westeros, and many more. So the whole idea is about minis, because this game is not using counters but miniatures. I think this is a very good thing, because just take a look at these guys. And what do you think? Yes, I guess most of us, big boys already, played with toy soldiers when we were kids. Can't say this about current younger generation of players, because they already started their childhood with computers, consoles and everything like this. But as for me, I like and I enjoyed a lot playing with toy soldiers when I was a kid. I collected them, and I don't have them still, but I had a lot of them when I was a kid. Some of them were just the basic toy soldiers purchased in the local shop. Some of them were kind of a bit more fancy toy soldiers produced by some model making company like Revell, or I believe Airfix. So there was a lot of them, and when I see these minis, they remind me about these days instantly. So yes, nostalgia works here quite fine. Okay, each unit contains 4 minis. There is a difference later when it comes to the tanks, artillery and some special forces, but as for now, and for this scenario, each unit contains 4 minis. When unit suffers a loss, it loses one of the minis, and if all 4 are eliminated, then unit is gone and enemy player gains victory point. When it comes to the combat, you roll the number of the die that game tells you to, and you have to check the result. There are some about result. If you get a result like this, then you have to eliminate 1 infantry figure. If you get a result like this, you have to eliminate 1 tank figure. If there are no tanks in the unit, currently for this scenario we don't have any tanks, so then it is a miss. If you get a star, it is mostly a miss. There are some event cards that tells you differently, but normally a star is a miss. If you get a grenade, you can eliminate any mini of your choice. If you hit an infantry unit, you can eliminate infantry unit. If you hit a tank unit, you can eliminate 1 tank. If you hit artillery, you can eliminate 1 artillery. So granate is a kind of joker. This is the best. A flag means that the unit you hit has to retreat. And these are all, I believe. Yes, these are all, I believe. As you can see, the easier is to hit an infantry. As for the others, it is harder. Okay, the scenario I am playing is a Pegasus Bridge. It was the first battle of the Operation Overlord, with some British airborne units landing near the 2 important bridges and being ordered to capture each of them. In the history, it went quite smoothly, without much losses. British paratroopers managed to capture both bridges. But we can see if it will work here. I like that this game has very nice made player aids. First, cards. We have cards for all kind of units that tells us how unit works. So for the infantry, we can ignore armor and artillery for now, because there are no armor or artillery in this game, in this scenario. So infantry might move 1, 0 and battle. So I can order this unit to move 1 hex and then fire at the enemy, or move 2 and no battle. Or so I can move 1, 2 hexes, but I cannot fire. When unit fires, it can fire with a range of 1 hex with a strength of 3, so I roll 3 hexes. I can fire at the range of 2 hexes with the 2 die, and with the range of 3 hexes with 1 die. So the closer you are firing, the better chance to score the hit you get. Also, infantry may take ground on successful close assault. This means that if an enemy unit would be here, and I would attack this with the unit on the adjacent hex, and the enemy unit would be eliminated or forced to retreat, I can take this ground after the battle. So this is quite good, but you have to move on the hex adjacent to the enemy unit. So it is also this is a danger, that if you won't eliminate such a unit, then it will fire back at you in its turn. You can see there is some terrain on the board as well. Each of them has its card. So you can see here is the forest, like here or there. Forest blocks line of sight, so you can't fire through the forest. You can fire into the forest, but not through the forest. Unit moving in must stop. This means that if you move here, that for example, if we activate this unit and it would move into this forest hex, it has to stop. Even if such a unit would have more movement points, it cannot move any further. It has to stop after entering the forest. A unit moving in cannot battle, except the French resistance. So, again, if I would move them into the forest and spend one movement point to enter the forest, I cannot fire on the enemy. Normally, after spending one movement point, I would be able to fire, but not when I enter the forest. And finally, we have modifiers. If we fire into the infantry, which is in the forest, we get -1 die. And if infantry fires into the forest, it gets -1 die. And if tanks firing into the forest, they get -2. We can ignore tanks because we have no tanks on the board. Same goes to the towns and villages, like for example here or there. They block line of sight. Unit moving in must stop. We already know how it works. Unit moving in cannot battle except the French resistance. We know about it. In towns or villages, armor battles out at -2 dice. So if we have armored unit which is in the town or village, it has to lose 2 dice when firing at the enemy. So it is extra hard when your tanks are in the village. They cannot effectively fire against enemy. So I think that's all. Oh, maybe not. We have also water. And as for water, rules are quite simple. Impassable except over bridges, which are considered normal terrain. So we have 2 bridges here on the board, and they are the only places that you can move through the rivers or lake, because here we have a lake. Bridge blocks line of sight. Rivers do not. So you can fire through the water normally, but you cannot fire through the bridge. So I think this is most of the rules, or maybe I should tell more about removable obstacles. We have 2 kinds of removable obstacles here: wires and sandbags. Sandbags. Occupant may ignore first flag. So if I would fire on this unit that are covered with sandbags, and they would get 1 retreat result, so for example 1 flag, they can ignore this flag. But if they would get 2 flags, then they would have to eliminate, because they can ignore just 1 flag only. If occupant leaves, remove sandbags. So if they would leave this hex, these sandbags are gone. And same, -1 for infantry, -1 for tanks. Next we have wires. Wires. Unit moving in must stop, just like in the forest or in the village. In wire, infantry battles out of 1 die. So if our infantry unit enters a hex with a wire, and in the next turn it wants to fire on the enemy, it has to use 1 less die, because it is in the wire. Infantry may remove wire instead of battling. So if they would enter this hex, in the next turn they can remove this wire, but because of that they cannot fight in such a turn. Armor removes wire and may still battle. I guess it makes sense. Tanks just rolling and taking wire out of their way without much problem. So wire is mostly problem for the infantry, but not much for tanks. So I guess this is all when it comes to the terrain. And finally we can talk a bit about victory conditions, because it is of course an important thing of each wargame. So, British player gains 1 victory point for each of these bridges, and 1 victory point for each enemy unit eliminated. And to win this game, a British player has to gain 4 victory points. So this is not a big number of victory points, but German units are quite well positioned with these sandbags, wires, towns. So even if there is a lot of British units on the board, it still can be a problem for a British player to gain a quick, swift and non-problematic victory. As for German player, condition victory are the same. So if he would eliminate 4 British units, he is a winner. Bridges are victory conditions, but for a British player only. So, I think this is all when it comes to the introductory stuff, and we can now talk a bit about commanding our units. First, let's take a look on the board. As you can see, board is divided into 3 zones, marked with these red lines. So we have right zone, middle zone and left zone. There is also another board that you may purchase individually, which looks like this, with boards going up and down, with lines going up and down here, but this is for much more advanced games with a lot of modules, so for now this is not important for us. And we use the cards to command our units in the certain zones. Each player has a number of command cards at the beginning of the game, and he spends them and gets more, since he has to have a certain number of cards on his hand all the time. So, as for command cards, let's take a look at them. The most popular are just the command cards that tells you to activate a certain number of units in the certain zone. So, for example, this card, which is attack, tells us that we can order 3 units in the left zone. So, if a British player would play this card, he can activate 3 units in this zone only. If unit is in the hex which belongs to the both zones, like for example this hex, let's for example move this unit here, and if such a unit is on such a hex, it can be activated no matter if card tells us about left zone or middle zone. It can be activated by both kinds of cards, which is good. So it is, if you have an option to finish your movement on such a hex, this is good, because there is a better chance for unit to be activated in the next turn. There are also cards that allows you to, for example, activate all units in the certain zone, like this one. And there are some special cards. There is a lot of them. I'm not going to tell and explain all of them, because it would take a lot of time and it's not important for now. It will go on with a game. For example, Infantry Assault tells us that issue an order to all infantry units in one section. So, for example, we can activate all units in this section, or this. We can choose one of our sections we want to. Units may move up to 2 hexes and still battle, or move 3 hexes and no battle. So you can see this is a very good card for infantry because it allows you to move further and even you can battle. Also, if you do not command any infantry units, issue an order to 1 unit of your choice. So same goes to the armored assault. For example, we have no tanks in this scenario, but if we have such a card, it is still not completely useless, because we can use it to activate 1 unit of our choice in no matter where it is on the board. So it can be quite useful. There are also cards like Recon that allows us to activate only 1 unit, so it is not something very good, but take a look on the special rule. When drawing a new order card, draw 2, choose 1 and discard the other. So the basic command is not very good, but this special rule is very good, because when you at the end of your actions you have to draw a new card, and because of this special rule you can draw 2 cards, check them out and decide which one of them you're going to keep. So this is a bigger chance to get some very good card. At the beginning of the turn you always play 1 card of your choice. You activate your units, move them and fire with them, and then enemy player does the same, and then you and him, and that's how it goes till the end of the game. There is no turn limit in this game, which is interesting because most of the war games that I know has a very strict turn limits. In Memoir 44 there is no turn limit. You play till one of the player is victorious. Even so, this game is not very long. Most of the scenarios takes about no more than an hour. Of course in the basic game, because when you get into more advanced modules with more rules, more units and so, then it may go a bit longer. But even so, this is not a very long game. This is something that you can end easily in one evening, and judging on my own experience, you can even play 2 or 3 battles in one evening, especially when you have someone who knows something about this game. But even if it's not a very experienced player, he can get the rules quite smoothly, because I said they are very easy. So we can start our game. First we have to check a number of the command cards each player receives at the beginning of the game. So a British player gains 6 command cards. So I take a deck, I already shuffled it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is an allied player hand, and these are his cards. Next we have a special rule saying that in the turn 1 German player has only 2 cards, and in the turn 2 he gets 2 additional cards, so he has 4 cards till the end of the game. This is a special rule showing the fact that the Germans were surprised and their reaction wasn't quite swift as it should be. And British player moves first, so we can take a look on the British cards. So this card allows us to move 1 unit in each section. This card this is a very special card. It tells us to roll 1 die for each card, each command card we have, including this card. So we would roll with 6 die, and for each unit symbol, one unit of this type is ordered. So if I would roll 1 infantry symbol, I can activate 1 infantry. For 1 tank, I can activate 1 tank, and for each star, 1 unit of your choice is ordered. Ordered units battle with 1 additional die. So you can see this is a pretty good card. Close Assault. Issue an order to all infantry and armor unit adjacent to the enemy units. So this is no use for us, because none of allied units are adjacent to the enemy units. This is again a card that we won't use, because it tells us to order 2 units in the right zone, and we have no units in the right zone. This tells us to activate 3 units in the middle zone, so this might be quite useful. And this card and this one allows us to order 4 infantry units anywhere on the board. So you can see these are allied cards, and now allied player may use one of these cards to activate his troops, and I think I will use Move Out. So this is my card, and I am about to move 4 units of my choice that are all over the board. I can move any of them because of this special card ability. So I'm moving these guys here, and next here. So they are entering this sandbox. They are moving 1, 2, and because of that they cannot fire, because they moved 2 hexes. And these are 2 units, and now I'm moving these guys 1, 2, so they cannot fire again because they moved 2 hexes, And finally, I'm going to activate this unit to fire on the enemy. I'm not moving them, because if I would move here, these are sandbags, so I wouldn't be able to fire. So I'm moving here and I'm firing on them. Now let's take a look on the battle restrictions. I'm firing on the 2 hexes range, so I have a 2 die, and enemy is in sandbags, so I have to subtract 1 die from my total number of the dice that I'm using, so I'm going to use 1 die only. And I'm firing. I rolled a grenade. Grenade is a joker, so one enemy unit is eliminated, so 1 of German figure is gone. Then I'm placing this counter card away, and I'm getting new card. I will check it out later. So that was all when it comes to the Allied turn, and now we are moving into German turn. So these are German cards. Armor Assault. Sorry, my family called me for something important, and now. As for German cards, we have Armor Assault. So this is a very good card if you have armored units, but Germans doesn't have any. But this card even tells us, if you don't command any armor units, issue an order to 1 unit of your choice. So we can you can use it to activate 1 of our units. And now this card tells us order 3 units. And remember that we are using this for Germans, and this is German side, so we are using these cards in this way. Shows you difference. Allies are here, so we are using the cards in this fashion, while Germans are there, so we are using these cards in this fashion. So, what a German player is going to do? He can activate 1 unit, so he might use, for example, these guys to fire on any of these upcoming British units, or activate this card, and because of that he would be able to command these 2 units. I think I will use this card and fire with this unit on these approaching Americans. I am firing with a 1 hex range, so I'm using 3 die, and I rolled 2 infantry and 1 tank. So I ignore a tank, and enemy suffers 2 minis lost. This card is go, and now I get 1 additional card because of the card that I used, and then German player gets 2 more cards, so this is his total hand for this scenario. And now we are moving into into British paratroopers. Oh, a new card is pretty good because it allows us to command 2 units on the right side and 2 units on the left side. Still, I think I will wait a bit because I have only 1 unit on the right side. So I would rather use some card that allows me to move with these guys here. So I think I will play this card. First, I am moving them 1, 2 here. They are going to remove this wire. They are not making any action, but they remove this wire, and they are moving here into this hex. So this is an action of British paratroopers. They get 1 more card for the card they spent, and now we are making German actions, and let's take a look on the cards. So now this is, I think it will be better to place them like this, so you will be able to see how they are moving. 1 unit in the middle, 3 units on the right flank, 3 units on the left flank, and 1 unit in each zone. So I think I will play this card because this is pretty good. Why? because it allows me to fire with these two guys and even move these guys closer. So I am firing with this unit and onto these British paratroopers. I am firing with 3 because I am firing in 1 hex range. Oh my, that was bad. 2 tanks, this is nothing, and 1 flag, so British paratroopers are retreating 1 hex. That wasn't very lucky. Next, I am firing with them. Oh, sorry, I should make movement first. So, 1, 2. And now I'm firing with them on these guys. So I'm firing with the 2 hexes. So I'm rolling with 2 dice. Oh, that was better. 2 British paratroopers are eliminated. So I'm removing this card and German player gets a new card. Time for British paratroopers. I think I will use this card now. So they are moving here. This is a movement for the middle zone. They are moving here and there, capturing this bridge. This gives me first victory point. I'm placing a victory point marker on my victory point track. So they moved 2 hexes, so they cannot battle. And now I'm activating them. They are not going to make any movement, but they will battle. Okay, so I can resolve my combat. They moved here, so they, 1 hex, so they still can battle, and they are firing on these Germans. They would normally fire with 3 dice, but because of the sandbags they have to subtract 1. Oh, Germans are suffering 1 loss, and same goes to them. Germans suffering 1 step loss, and there is a retreat result, but because of the sandbags they can ignore this result. So that's all when it comes to the British activation. I can turn into Germans. Oh, I think my camera moved a bit, sorry for that. Okay, so let's take a look on German cards. I think this card can be quite good for Germans now. First, I'm making a movement with this unit, and they are moving here and there. Why I am retreating, you may ask? Because if they would be eliminated, British side would gain a victory point, and that's not what I want to. But because they left this hex, then these sandbags are eliminated. Alright, so this was my left side movement, and now I'm going to use them and them to fire. I'm not going to move them, I'm just going to fire with them on the enemy. I'm firing with them on this weakened British paratroopers unit, so I'm firing with 2 dice. Oh. It is 1 hit. And now here they are also using 2 dice, so it is 1 hit. So this card is go, German player gets 1 card, and we are moving into the British actions. This card is good, but not now, because it allows me to activate all units in the right flank, and I have only 1 unit on the right flank, so this is not good. I think I will use this. It will be quite a waste, because I have only 1 unit on the right flank, so I wouldn't be able to use it completely, but I think this is going to work fine for me either. So I'm activating them and firing on these Germans with 2 dice. Oh, I re-roll this one. Okay, it is one hit. And now here I am moving them one hex, so they will be able to fire, and then I'm moving them one hex, so they will be to fire as well. First them, they are firing on Germans on the adjacent hex, so they are using 3 dice. Oh my, that was not very lucky result, since Germans lost only 1 unit. And now what they can do? They cannot fire here because there is a friendly unit on the line of sight. They cannot fire on them because there is a breach on the line of sight, and we know we remember that bridges are blocking line of sight. So we can fire on these Germans in this town, but town tells us that we have to subtract 1 die when firing on the infantry. So we are firing on them with the strength of 2, and because of the buildings we have to subtract 1 die, so we will roll with 1 die only. It is a grenade, so it is 1 hit. Okay, so that's all for the British player. And we are moving into the German actions. Okay, let's take a look on German cards. Wow, this is a very good card currently. German player is very lucky. Alright, I'm using them as activation of right flank to fire on these British paratroopers. And I'm using these guys to fire on this lone figure, while they are going to fire on this British unit. So I'm not making any movement, I'm just firing. First here, with 2 die, 1 British paratrooper is gone. They are firing with 3 die on this, so this is going to be very hard. Oh, like I said, British paratroopers are eliminated, and because of that, German player gains 1 victory point. And they are firing on these guys, so they are using 2 dice. Oh, very unlucky roll, so it is 2 miss. Okay, so that's for Germans. That wasn't very lucky. Well, maybe not very much, because they managed to eliminate 1 of the British units, but still I hoped it will work better. So, we can start another turn, and let's check our cards. And what new card came? Oh my! This is going to be great. So this is one of the best cards you can get, because it allows you to move 2 units in each section. So this is going to be wow. Just wow. Alright, so I can move 2 units in the right section. I have only 1 unit in the right section, and so I will activate them. Now in the middle section I have these 2 units, so I can activate both of them, and 1 unit in the left section, so I would activate them. Alright, so the question is if I am going to make any movement. I think yes. I will move them here and there. So I am capturing this bridge. And this gives me another victory point. And because I moved, I can make no fire. Yes, I cannot. Okay, now these guys are not going to make a move, and the others are not going. Or maybe they will make a 1 hex movement. Okay, and the others are not making any movement, they're just firing. So starting with them, they are firing on these Germans, so this is 2 hexes range, so I'm firing with 2 dice. Now, that was good shot, and they moved 1 hex, so they can fire as well, and they are targeting these Germans with 2 dice. Brilliant. We get another victory point for allies. And now, returning to the right section, I am firing with these British paratroopers on these upcoming Germans. I have also strength of 2. Oh, 2 German figures are gone. So that was very good turn for Allies, you can say, because they gained 2 victory points. They eliminated a bunch of Nazis, so it was very effective. And now let's move to Germans. I think this is their last turn to change something, because, well, you can say, Allies need just 1 victory point to win the game, and these guys, sorry, this one, this German unit and this German unit has only 1 figure, so there is a big chance for Allies to eliminate them, and if Allies eliminate any of them, they are victorious. So, what Germans might do? Very little. Their cards are not very effective. I think I will use this card. I will use this card, and this is Infantry Assault. Issue an order to all infantry units in 1 section. So I'm choosing this section. Units may move up to 2 hexes and still battle, or move 3 hexes and do not battle. Alright, so I can move my unit up to 2 hexes and battle, or 3 hexes and not battle. Okay, I'm moving them here, or maybe not. Or maybe not. I have a better plan. I'm moving them here, so they will be in some range from the British paratroopers. They are moving here, and that's all when it comes to the movement. And now Germans might fire. So they are firing on them with 2 dice. That was a good shot. 2 British paratroopers are gone. Now they are firing. They moved 1, 2. Sorry, 1. They were. No, they were. Oh, I forget where they were. I believe they were here. So I can move here and fire on them with a 3 dice. Oh my, that was successful. So Germans gain 1 victory point, and now they can fire on these British paratroopers with the strength of 2. So British paratroopers have to retreat 1 hex. Well, they didn't suffer any losses, but still this is bad. So Germans managed to do some good stuff, eliminating 1 of the British units and getting close to recapture this bridge, which can be quite important. So now we have a British turn, and this is a good time for British units to do something. Oh, I think I should try this card. This can be my best chance. So I have to make a roll with 6 dice, so I need 2, because it says roll 1 battle die for each command card you have, including this card. So I have 6 command cards, so I'm making a roll with 6 die. Okay, what it says: for each unit symbol, 1 unit of this type is ordered. For each star, 1 unit of your choice is ordered. So I ignore this grenade, and I can activate 5 units. So you can see this can be a very powerful card if we have luck with our die. So I can activate 5 British units. I'm starting here, making movement with these guys. 1. They are moving here, so I activated 2 of my units. Now I am moving them. 1, 2. This is third. next them, oh no, maybe them. So this is fourth, and finally them. So it is fifth. So I activated all my units and now I can fire. First I'm firing here with 2 die on these guys. It was hit, so this German unit is eliminated. And next I am firing with them on... So I sadly cannot target them because there is a bridge on the line of sight and the bridge blocks line of sight, but I can fire on them. They are in the city, they are in the village, so I have 2 -1, so I'm firing with 1 die. And this is a flag, so they are forced to move back. Okay, and now you can see that British units gathered 4 victory points. And because of that, British player is victorious. You may be surprised why I didn't make a German movement now. And that's what is quite odd for this game. But yes, in fact, and the winner is who gains required number of victory points first. So British player gathered 4 victory points, as you can see here. So he is a winner. Even if in the next turn German player would be able to regain some of the victory points and gather enough of them to get a draw. This is not possible. The first player who gets a required number of medals is a winner. So this concludes this video. British paratroopers won the battle, just like in the history. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope I was able to show you the basics of this game. But like I said before, these were the basics of the basics. This is an introductory scenario, very simple, with infantry only, without much of the special rules. So this is a good thing for a start, but it doesn't show us everything about this game. So I hope to record more videos about this game. I hope I will be able to. So because of them I will be able to show you more about this great game, and maybe something about the expansions as well, because like I mentioned before, I have a couple of expansions for this game. They are making Memoir 44 much more interesting, much more deep when it comes to the rules, to the Chrome and everything else. So that's for now. Thank you for watching and see you again.